Hey, this is Dave Noonan. Thank you so much for watching. In today's video, we're going to explore the use of audio in life science e-learning programs. And before we jump into the details, a quick disclaimer. I am not from a house of learned doctors, as the great Dale Doback said in one of my favorite movies, Step Brothers. I don't have an advanced degree in this particular topic of instructional design or instructional technology. I just have some experience from working in the space for some time. I've seen things go well and go not so well when it comes to audio, and I've certainly poked around at some of the literature on this topic, and so hopefully that'll come through. But not from a house of learned doctors. So if you are from such a house, you have expertise in this area, I would totally love your comments or your feedback. So send me a note, leave a comment below, and again, would love to have that conversation be ongoing. But to get us started, today's conversation probably needs to be scaled across what are we even talking about when it comes to audio in e-learning. And here on screen, we're looking at what I think are the two sort of ends of the spectrum when it comes to audio. On the right would be no audio, meaning some kind of an e-learning or online learning module that had literally no audio in it at all. And then on the left, what we would, or I would call anyway, audio narration. It's audio narrated, meaning there is audio voiceover throughout the entire program. Every screen, every word on every screen narrated, spoken over from start to finish. But in between, there are some things where I think I'd like to focus the conversation today. The first of which I would refer to as audio guided. And so audio guided takes us a little bit away from full audio narration, where we have somebody literally speaking throughout the entire program on every screen, every word. Audio guided, still heavier on the audio side, but a little more strategically used just to make sure the learner is guided through the journey. So we're a little bit more selective, but it's still pretty heavy on the audio. And then the other is audio supported. So here we're not really narrating or guiding, we're just using audio strategically to support the learning objectives in places where we think it's most necessary and most relevant. And so for the rest of the conversation, I'll do my best to make a case that we kind of want to live here in the middle. I'll even throw a little heart around it because I do think it is somewhat of a sweet spot, and we'll just use some examples here to support that. And please let me know your thoughts after you've taken a watch. So the first thing that I think really puts us in the sweet spot is that we don't need to be designing for what we think are the learning styles: visual, audio, kinesthetic, etc. Pretty well agreed to and established that learning styles aren't actually real. There are learning preferences, but not really learning styles. So the idea that we need to go heavy on the audio full narration to make sure that we cover all of the learning styles is not something I think we need to do when it comes to we need audio and where we need it. Even the topic of accessibility for people who need some extra assistance when it comes to an online learning module, full audio narration isn't necessarily the answer there as well, as some of the technology available for folks with those needs don't rely on that narration. They actually use other mechanisms to present that on screen content for which that narration could even get in the way. So I think we can try to slide away from this. We need to cover all the learning styles and not use that as one of our rationales. I think we can also be done with when it comes to how we consider using audio redundancy. And so on screen here, an example, there's a picture of a tape. There is text on screen that says this is a tape. And then if we had audio on this screen saying this is a tape, it's redundancy. And we can be done, I think, with redundancy. There's been quite a bit of research on this topic that such redundancy does not improve learning retention. In fact, it may actually increase cognitive load and get in the way of people actually learning what we want them to learn. And so we should be thinking about audio through the lens of where we can use it and not be getting into the trap of redundancy. And so another real consideration about how we can maybe live in that sweet spot in the middle. Where we can be thinking about audio, though, is in this area of explain and elaborate. And so, if we're using visuals in our e learning, and hopefully we are today with the way learners like to be engaged, that's a great place to be using audio strategically. If it's a graphic like you can see in that org chart that does not have text, it could be a great place to use audio to explain or elaborate on what that visual is trying to tell us. And something medical for our field in life sciences, like this anatomical view of the eye, could also be a great place for explanation and elaboration on a topic where that audio could be extremely valuable in driving retention and understanding of a complex topic. Similarly, emotion and empathy is another place where audio can be extremely useful in life science learning, where we're looking at patient perspective. How do we connect our learners to what it's like to be looking at things through the patient's perspective and through the healthcare provider's perspective? Audio can be a great way to bring those things to life where text or other on screen visuals may not be enough. So, emotion and empathy is most definitely a place where we can be considering audio for the benefit of our learning and the learner. Now, we'll give you a kind of a bonus here. When it comes to adult learners, we can think about audio through the lens of choice. We know adult learners like to have agency to some degree over their learning journey. So, if we've started to use audio in our e learning program, is there a way that we can provide choice, like letting them decide to choose to play audio on certain screens in addition to text that might be there? Um, that's a place where we can give some agency potentially to learners, right? So just kind of food for thought as a bonus there. And then finally, we'll call it a bonus or a double bonus here, would be efficiency and budget. So another just reality driver here for audio and e-learning is the idea of efficiency, meaning, is this program going to need to be used elsewhere? In this case, we're talking, say, US focused. If it has to be used elsewhere, we might want to think about where and how we use audio for how efficient we can then be in getting that translated and localized into other parts of the world where it may need to be used. And then budget. Let's face it, if we add budget both upfront for talent and amount of audio that we might use, and think about budget that it would take to have it updated down the road when things change. And in life science, because we know that they change very frequently, another reason to be thinking about audio in that sweet spot, that audio guided or even audio supported realm. And so, to kind of wrap up, let's think about audio through the lenses of one, we don't need to use audio just to try to appease learning styles, especially if those learning styles aren't even accurate or real. Two, we want to think about audio through the lens of being done with redundancy. We don't need to repeat ourselves throughout these modules. So, can we think about where audio is effective outside of just repeating on screen text? Three, in our e learning, where can we leverage audio to explain and elaborate on screen visuals? Beautiful visuals we all can see and create. Let's use audio to explain and elaborate there. Same with emotion and empathy. Can we use audio to bring those things to life for our learners? And then our bonuses, adult learners like choice, maybe audio is a place we can provide some agency and choice in the learning. And bonus two, budget and efficiency. Think about it when you're using audio and e-learning to make sure downstream you are in a good place for both. So there you have it, just an exploration, not a definitive stance at all on audio. Hope it's helpful, and I would love to hear from you. So please leave me a comment, leave me your thoughts on this topic, and we'll continue the conversation there. See you in the next video.